it happened in a heartbeat. And, I can say that like all of the sort of like private signals we have are just completely in line with all the public signals. Like, like what fraction of global financial regulators are thinking about crypto at least 10% of their time? I think it's sort of gone up from like 0% roughly to like 80%.
Yeah, so man, this was a big year for crypto, obviously the biggest probably in history. Is there anything that really surprised you in 2021?
I think like a lot of things surprised me. And I think especially like looking at sort of the spring, maybe roughly, I think it was sort of like my time of greatest surprise. And it wasn't so much like price action related things. I think those were, roughly normal-ish, other than like going up a lot, but whatever, we've had years before where that's happened. And at some point there's just a limit to how much like crypto went up this year is really going to shock me. But I think what sort of caught me the most off guard was exactly how quickly regulation became just completely central to the ecosystem. And you go from like, it's hard to even remember. A year is so fucking long, crypto, right? Like it's like, would you even remember late 2020 anymore? What was a Bitcoin worth, right? Like I'm kind of saying like, oh geez, is that like 8K or is it like 40K? Like, I don't know, somewhere in that range, right? But I think maybe it went from, through that range then. But one thing I think, if you sort of rewind to that, like how much of the conversation around digital assets focused on regulation a year ago? Like, what was your sense of it?
Very, very little. It was sort of this non-existent boogeyman, a bridge that we would cross when we had to.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. It's like, I like hesitate to say it was literally none, because it wasn't literally none, but it really was like, in sort of the public consciousness, very, very small. And it wasn't just the public consciousness in which it was small. When you looked at regulatory attention, how many censures had there been from any government about any not completely fraudulent cryptocurrency project prior to 2021? It's like single digits, right? Like, again, whatever, scams are scams, right? But like it was just like on so many dimensions, there was just massively less attention. And now what's it look like? Like, it's, I don't know, what fraction of the discourse on crypto do you think regulation is today?
Over half.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I think it's like the average conversation I have is like probably is greater than 50% about regulation. That's a massive fucking change, right? Like in 1 year, we've gone from like not quite an afterthought, but like, really not a core piece of the ecosystem to like the single biggest piece by far. And it wasn't shocking to me that regulation was going to become more central over time. That was, I think, pretty clear. But I would have said like, yeah, over the next 5 years, we're going to slowly see, regulation play a bigger and bigger role in all aspects of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And, maybe 3 years from now, it'll be one of the 3 biggest topics or something.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
And instead it's like, no, 3 months from now, it'll be the single biggest topic. It happened in a heartbeat. And, I can say that like all of the sort of like private signals we have are just completely in line with all the public signals. Like, like what fraction of global financial regulators are thinking about crypto at least 10% of their time? I think it's sort of gone up from like 0% roughly to like 80%. It's like, prior to this year, like no regulator ever had interest in talking to us really, except for like people who had specific interfacing with crypto. And now all of a sudden it's like everyone does. Like, it's like we get like random countries, reaching out about this constantly. And you go on Capitol Hill, right? And like, you want to talk to congressmen about something. What do they want to talk about? Well, same thing everyone else wants to talk about, crypto. So it's just such a massive change that's permeated everything. And I was not expecting that evolution to happen with anything like the rate that it did.
I would think that if you're visiting Capitol Hill, they'd all want to talk to you about fundraising and getting reelected. But maybe now crypto becomes a part of that.
But no, actually, that way more talk about crypto than that. It's interesting.
So I guess we know obviously that it's happened. It's very clear. It's in the public eye. I guess the question then becomes, why? Is this a function of Bitcoin becoming so mainstream that they just have to address it? Or do you think that we had a catalyst like the infrastructure bill, which sort of accidentally brought this to the forefront? You know, it's one sentence in meant to raise more taxes and it threatens crypto. Everybody comes together and all of a sudden, you know, I mean, it froze the infrastructure bill for 4 days. Biden's largest bill was frozen by a bunch of, what do they call us? What did Elizabeth Warren call us? Shady,
super coders, something like that. I think that the infrastructure bill definitely accelerated this a little bit. And I think like a lot of people were pretty surprised by how big that became so quickly. But I think it was inevitable one way or another. And it wasn't the underlying thing that caused this. It was just a little bit of a trigger. Intensity was ramping up really quickly going into that and continued going out of that. And, you know, when I talk with lawmakers about crypto, they bring up the bill, like they're like, oh yeah, what do you think of that bill? That was kind of, I guess that was a big thing or something for the space, right? But it's not actually what they're focusing on. It's not like that's the first thing on their mind, even when you say talk about crypto. They've all moved way past that. And, you know, I think that like it really is the amount, first of all, just the rise in price, the amount of wealth that was generated for people. And then, just the amount of attention that the rest of the world was spending on it, right? Like, I don't know, when you went home, like I'm sure when you went home to your family, if you did for the holidays, almost certainly crypto came up with us because you're fucking in crypto, right? But I think if you're not in crypto and you went home for your families, it still probably came up. You know, it's just like, this is the hottest topic right now, full stop. And so I think it's just like, all of that just sort of dovetailed and got to a point where it's just sort of what people are thinking about. It's top of mind right now.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.